it's Ate Nikki here, and today we're going to Quezon City in order to do something a little bit exciting for me, specifically as a gamer, because we are going to get a hands-on review for the ROG Ally. So let's just fly right on to. So Asus was actually very generous to offer us a ride. When we did arrive at the venue, free drinks were actually up for grabs for us. We were at a coffee shop. It was very cozy. It was a great warm welcome over from the Asus team. And after a brief welcome from the Aces team, of course, we all expected that there weren't really going to be anything happening there. So I wasn't really filming anything. And then they gave us a full on experience. So after recovering from the whiplash of the cozy cafe where we were all just idly talking and greeting each other, we were greeted by Miss Kate for a brief introduction onto the first speaker, which was honestly dazzling. Mr. Eddie Chu was there, so it was a great afternoon.
Hello, Kate Rivera, your favorite ROGPR.
Okay, so good afternoon, dear media friends.
And of course, this is when Sir Eddie Chu actually gave us the official announcement for their very first handheld gaming device, which is, of course, the ROG Ally.
Good afternoon. So thank you all for coming.
And of course, if you all remember from like 3 years ago, we have Kuya Nico back. I was so excited to see him after like 3 years.
So today will be. Yan. So today we'll be sharing with you all of the different features and highlights of our newest gaming handheld, Windows 11 powered gaming handheld. So ROG Ally.
So just to give you a brief rundown of what Kuya Nico was saying here, their newest ROG Ally gaming handheld device was actually going to be capable of playing every single type of game that you have because it is Windows 11 powered. So be it your games on Steam, on Epic, on whatever launcher that you could think of, this thing can play it, which is honestly something that is, I don't know, like the Steam Deck didn't do this. I'm not particularly sure if there are any other gaming handhelds that could actually do this. So yeah, this was kind of a feat in and of itself. So Kuya Nico also gave us a thorough rundown of the specifications of the ROG Ally, which I will give you a briefer rundown. So the ROG Ally is powered by an AMD Ryzen Z1 series processor. It also comes running on Windows 11 already, and that is what I meant by it can play any game that you have already readily available. So it's fully compatible with the Xbox PC Game Pass. It's fully compatible with Steam, with the EA app, and of course, last but not least, Epic Games. So all of these games that you already have existing in your libraries right now, it can be played on the ROG Ally. So it also has Armory Crate SE already built in within the system. So there is customizable key mapping. There's a control panel overlay that you can definitely personalize to your comfort. And of course, there is also the performance profiles in which you can set different profiles for the amount of performance that you want the handheld to have in particular moments. So there is also 16 gigs of RAM with this. So if you're someone who games heavier games, so you can actually game with higher like AAA games with this, but there will be capping when it comes to the frame rate that you will have. They actually tested this out with Apex Legends, like live to us, to the audience. It capped at around 90 frames per second. For a handheld, it's okay, but of course, if you're someone who's used to playing on the computer, which is probably capable of powering space stations. This, of course, isn't going to live up to that kind of threshold, but for a handheld gaming device, this is pretty good. It's pretty up there. So there is a micro SD slot all ready to go if you're not happy with the already existing 512 gigs of storage that is already in the device itself. And if I am the one being asked if I want to expand the storage, and that's a resounding yes, because I'm someone who is into variety streaming. So when it comes to like games in my library, there's a buttload of games in there. So 512 gigs ain't gonna cut it for me. But that's just my opinion, honestly. And even with all of this tech built into it, of course, the cooling, all the hardware, the motherboard, etc., the ROG Ally only comes up to around 608 grams in weight. 608 grams. That's it. That's, I mean, it's half a kilo, but that's still very light for something that's this powerful. So Kuya Nico actually emphasized 3 times the different capabilities of this device. Not in a sense that he repeated it 3 times, but there are particularly 3 times where you can, just see how this device shines. So the first one was me time. So basically any single player game that you could think of, this device can play it. So if you are someone who is more inclined to play single player games, this is probably a very good fit for you. There is a second time, which is we time. So if you are someone who enjoys playing with a group or just playing games that are particularly co-op or just team games in general, so this device can actually be very, very good for you. And then there is also Pro Time. I actually saw someone playing Valorant on this and it was insane. So it's basically kind of like your CPU, but as a handheld, if that makes sense. So Kuya Nico also emphasized the different capabilities visually when it comes to the device. So when it comes to like the buttons, all of the joysticks, all of them can be configured like visually. So they created like this miniature armory crate, quote unquote, software for this device, in which you can control all of the different like fan speeds, the different lighting modes, the different sensitivities of the different buttons. You can configure what kind of hotkeys you want for these different buttons. It's actually insane how much freedom you have with all of these buttons and how they engineered it to be configured to how you want it, like how you particularly play personally. So it's insane the amount of engineering that went into this. So I did actually bring my very own Switch to this event just for comparison's sake. The Switch is the only handheld that I have currently in my possession, but when I put it up to the ROG Ally, the Ally was actually bigger in comparison. And I'm not sure if I'm someone who is thrilled with that fact, especially since I have smaller hands than, normal. But when it comes to the size of the device itself, like the ROG Ally, I would say that it's not the most comfortable when it comes to people who have smaller appendages, much like me. And coupled with the fact that it has like 608 grams in weight, it's pretty heavy compared to like just body to device ratio, I guess. But yeah, it's bigger than the Switch and heavier than the Switch. So do with that info what you will.
Alright, so I know we're all very, very excited to figure out what the price is, when the release date is, what's the different in-depth specs, all of the benchmarks. We promise we will get those to you very, very soon. So make sure that you hit the subscribe button and that you hit the bell notification to be updated every single time that we do make an upload. So if you have any comments, suggestions, anything that you want to say to us, make sure to hit the comment box down below there as well. So yeah, we will see you soon with more updates for ROG Ally. This has been Ataniki and we will see you next time. Bye bye.